Hey, Geeks! It's Kaiser here with the Total Geek Live crew. I've got Baltimore, Danny, and Guy. And we're about to bring you the Geeks review of Thor Ragnarok. So we all just flew back from Asgard for the third time, and boy, our arms Thor.
You were waiting for that one. You were waiting for that one.
I literally flew back. I just came back from seeing it like minutes before this video started. So they're like, "I'm coming. I'll be here." I'm tired.
They're going to be super fresh.
Yes, it's all fresh on your mind. So, like all of our Geeks reviews, it'll start off spoiler-free. You'll see the little spoiler-free icon at the bottom. We will tell you when we go into spoiler territory, and a spoiler icon will come up, so you know we're in spoiler territory. And if you haven't seen it, and you wander into that territory, don't get mad at us.
That's right. You'll have to watch all the phone clips that we uploaded from all our respective theaters. That's going to go real well with the lawyers.
Yeah.
Real well.
So this is the third installment of the Thor franchise. And to say it's the best Thor film is an understatement.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it didn't have much to compete with. But I honestly will say I think this is in my top 5 MCU films.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's made it that way. So I'm really thrilled with it.
Top 5 MCU, how would you rank it in like your top 5 comedies?
Well, it's right up there with The Martian.
Wow.
No. I have a lot of feels about the genre bending of this one, but you know, I'll leave that for later. But I really enjoy the film. I really think that, you know, they really needed a knee-jerk switch to the third film, whatever it was going to be, because it wasn't sustainable the way it was going. It just didn't work.
Right.
And, you know, the director YTD came in and did a really good job of crafting an amazingly different and succinct film that stood on its own, kept the story going, and provided a lot of growth for all the characters that were involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just give real big props to that. You know, that's a lot of work to do, and I'm really glad that Marvel heads kind of said, "Okay, do it," and didn't seem to be really micromanaging or pushing down and kind of stomping the creativity, because that was clearly, you know, something that had been kind of happening for a while in the films.
Exactly, and I was actually a bit scared going into this, because going in knowing it was more comedy, I was afraid we're going to lose some character development and growth. But they were able to work that in, and they had the character arcs. They had 3-dimensional characters in a film that it could have easily come off one note. Well, there is one note character. Well, 2 one-note characters. Grandmaster, you know.
Right.
But that's just
the role.
Yeah, it's the role. He's kind of one note. No.
I liked him, though. I think he was actually one of my new favorites.
I did not like him. I'm just saying as far as character arcs and having meat to characters in a comedy like this.
Yeah.
He was a one-note character throughout.
He was perpetually Jeff Goldblum. He was Jeff Goldblum, just Goldbluming it up. And no one Goldblum's better than Goldblum. So, you know. In conclusion, Jeff Goldblum.
Case closed.
Danny, what were your thoughts on it?
It's definitely my favorite Thor movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would really need to go back to say what top it's in. I don't know. It may be top 5, like Baltimore said. But I don't know. I really need to go back at the list. I mean, this is number 17, guys. This is
Yeah.
that we've had of these films. So this is the 17th Marvel Cinematic Universe film we've had. So that's a lot to look at.
He's been 4 or 5 films.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, correct. Yep, he's been Thor in 5 films. So I need to go back and look at that. But I really enjoyed the turn that they made. The second Thor was way too dark. I know, because it had dark elves in it. So I guess it has to be dark.
It was dark in the title.
It was the Dark World.
Right?
Yeah, the Dark World. Yeah, so I understand why the tone had to be just so dark, but it was too much for me for a Marvel movie, where I expect a lot more banter, comedy, but this one felt so much more like a comic book than any of the other Thor films.
Yeah.
Well, the first Thor was, Brana set out to make it like kind of like a Greek tragedy, like a magnum, like very Shakespearean. He pulled his background into it, and I thought that was a great take for a Thor movie. But then, like I said, with Dark World, they kind of brought it down, and so this movie was the they pulled it up to the Guardians of the Galaxy, stratosphere.
Right.
Exactly.
The second film seemed like it was really just okay, let's move our entire story forward, and how can we do this easily? Oh, we have a Thor sequel coming up. Let's just stick it all in there and progress things. And there wasn't a lot of real character development in there. The villain, as a lot of Marvel films have been bashed for, is really one note in that one. He didn't have a lot of growth, didn't have really a lot of meat to him, which is a shame because the actor was really impressive. But yeah, so this film, Thor Ragnarok, I thought really shot itself up, in terms of development for the characters, in terms of enjoyment for a Thor movie, and as well as propelling the story forward, because you finally get to see Hulk again, after his absence after Age of Ultron. So that's a nice little, okay, we haven't seen you in 2 years.
Yeah, that was a whole other subplot that I noticed. I mean, it felt much more like a buddy picture. It was, there was always that camaraderie between Hulk and Thor, and you really, really got to see it played out here, which I thought was nice. And there was some definite unexpected growth in there as well. I think I'll save some of that for our spoiler section, but there was some interesting growth that I thought about that. But it was the banter, and then they had their own little sub team that they formed within this to fight Hela, the goddess of death. And I just thought it was a neat team up multi-planet adventure. It's quite different than what Marvel's done. It was different even in tone from what like Guardians did in its own way.
Yeah.
Well, slightly.
I mean, it took a lot of what Guardians did well and kind of molded it to fit in the Thor.
Correct. And man, Hela, I loved as an adversary, as the antagonist of this. It was really, really cool seeing
done right.
That character done right, yeah, and to feel, wow, this is really going to be a challenge for Thor to really stand up and fight such a powerful character.
Yeah.
So let's get into spoiler territory now.
Oh yeah.
Because there's some specific scenes I really want to discuss. But before we do, spoiler-free review. It's fun. It's everything a summer blockbuster should be in winter.
In November.
Yeah.
Although it feels summer here in Texas.
That's true. It's 80
like 90 degrees.
Yeah. So it's...
I'm about to put on my coat. Thanks a lot, guys.
I'm sitting here in shorts, so...
As am I, because it's sweaty outside.
So yeah, it's a must-see. If you've been watching the cinematic Marvel Universe, it's one of the top tier as far as just pure enjoyment, fun in watching a movie goes. So go see it. Geek approved.
That's right.
Exactly.
But now we're going to get spoilery.
And they don't have to turn off the video. In fact, they can just, I don't know, like turn down the volume on us and just keep the video going. And I may play some Barry Manilow or something, whatever suits them.
Or pause the video, go see Thor, and then come back.
We'll be here for you.
Pause it on your phone. That way, as soon as the movie's over, you can watch it and listen to us on your drive home.
That's right.
Mightily impressed. Yeah. Yeah. So I really loved the film. I think that's kind of apparent. I thought I did a lot of things well. I was, like we kind of mentioned a little bit, I was hesitant because I knew they were combining a few storylines in here.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when that happens, you get something bad, X-Men Last Stand.
Yes.
And sometimes you get something good, like Thor Ragnarok.
Right.
And all better for it. So they included, the Planet Hulk storyline in, and the Ragnarok actual mythos into this film, and I think they did an incredible job weaving them into a nice, mostly flawless story.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and speaking of weaving, they weaved a few characters together to form this version, the cinematic version of Hela, it seems.
Right, yes.
Hela, originally, I guess, in the comics, was Loki's daughter, but there is a sister that they had that was brought over, you said, a McFarlane creation?
Yeah, so Neil Gaiman created a character named Angela.
Angela, yeah.
Yeah, and sold his rights to Angela to Marvel, who brought her into the Marvel Universe as Thor's long-lost sister, Odin's first child, who was stolen by the angels in heaven, which is, I think, Heven, I think is the realm. And so one of the consequences of that is Odin is no longer king of or ruler of the 9 realms. It's the 10 realms, because heaven is now included into the realms. So they kind of blended a little bit of that kind of storyline where she was forgotten, no one knew about her, and brought her back into the universe when with Hela in Thor Ragnarok. So in the movie, Hela is the oldest, the firstborn of Odin's children, and was exiled and wouldn't return until his death.
Yeah.
Right. And let's talk about how they introduced the storyline with that, with her tearing down the the painting thing and seeing that. It was so gorgeous looking.
The secret origin,
yeah. So really cool, and even I loved seeing the other part of the Valkyries, and it just was like a moving painting. It was so visually stunning.
All right, so here's one of 2 qualms I have with the movie. So if all the Valkyries died fighting Hela, except for Scrapper 142, which is a call out to the comic-ish first appearance of Valkyrie. Shouldn't Thor have known that Valkyries didn't exist anymore, that they're all dead? He's like, oh, Valkyries, you guys are the guardians of the champions of Asgard, the protectors of the royal families. Like, if they were all dead, shouldn't he have known?
Well, I think he did. Because he said, I wanted to be a Valkyrie when I was growing up until I found out that they were all women. Yes, there's a little bit of, well, where are they now? Like, what happened to them? But it could have been something lost on the cutting room floor, kind of an explanation. But you're right. There's a little bit of... Yeah,
it's just a little, because it's like, because he was like, oh, what? Oh, you're all dead. You're the last one. Oh, I'm so, you should have known that, dude.
Even she hinted like there was a reason for her being the only one left, but I thought they would have answered it. I guess my personal thought was, I thought maybe she fled from the final battle because there was basically nothing left to do.
Did she play dead, or because it shows her getting saved.
There was another one was saving her and pushing her down. So my guess is that she played dead.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of felt that it was, in the same way that Loki and Thor got hit out in the Rainbow Heimdall's Sky Bridge, whatever. When they're going up and she's coming up after them, and Loki gets knocked out, and then Thor gets knocked out. I kind of felt like it was something similar to that, although and you don't see that in the movie, but that's what I was kind of imagining. I mean, but
yeah,
because how else would you kind of end up there? It's kind of a random,
Yeah. There were a couple of things that I definitely liked about the film. One of the things I wanted to kind of flash back to before we got farther is, I didn't realize that Hela was also an amalgam of Angela, because I remember when Angela debuted in the Spawn comic, like back in the 90s, I didn't know that's what Marvel had done with her. So that was like super, super interesting to find out for me. Two of the things that I really liked, there's a small one when Thor is in that chair and they're pushing and welcoming the new planet, and it's like sitting there playing Pure Imagination, Willy Wonka, as he's going through, and it's like it almost goes like the ride, complete with the getting all freaky towards the end and him screaming.
Yes. Screaming like a little girl.
I kind of got that feeling. It almost felt like a Disney ride, because at first I was like, is he going on Space Mountain? And then it started going like through one of those Disney dark rides. So I'm wondering if like the Imagineering team is planning like a Thor ride where you'll be going to this storyline, which would be interesting. So
that was pretty funny.
The other thing I noticed that was more interesting about Hulk's growth is, okay, so he's been gone for 2 years since Age of Ultron. Hulk was very different, and the biggest reason was that he had been consistently Hulk for 2 years. One of the things I never really put in perspective, because I've always thought as like Hulk and Bruce Banner is always kind of being cognizant of the other, and always like one's in control and the other's just waiting to come out, and then the tables turn, but they coexist because they are essentially just two halves of the same person. With extended time that Hulk had to basically be free and be himself, he seemed more good-natured. He, was actually carrying on basic conversations. I mean, he seemed like a small child, maybe like, I don't know, we're like 4 to 6 or something. But he was able to have conversations, and he was a little pouty and moody, but he wasn't constantly angry all the time. He was actually enjoying it. He kind of realized that no one likes me on Earth. It just makes sense for me to be here. And he was even truly enjoying his new life on this planet, which I thought was interesting. And then when he turns back into Banner, he's like, oh my God, I've been on a planet for 2 years. And he immediately referenced back to Age of Ultron's events. And
did we save the city? It's like, there's a whole deal that went on with that.
Right. Well, because he even talks about it, that usually they both have one hand on the wheel. But this time, he was in the trunk. Yeah. He was locked in the trunk.
Which is actually referenced back to a comic, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The one where they locked Bruce Banner in the trunk of a car?
No, like, that's an actual reference to, how he felt.
No one locks Banner in the trunk.
You don't put him in a box either, yo.
Nope. None of that.
So, this brings up my second issue I had with it. I felt they completely undermined Hulk's story arc, because at the scene you get to the planet, he's in the whole I don't want to become Hulk again. You'll never see Bruce Banner again. It's like I can't do it, and he decides in that moment, you know what, the Hulk is needed. I will sacrifice Bruce Banner to become the Hulk to save these people that he doesn't even know, completely selfless act, and they put in a stupid gag of him jumping out to become Hulk, and he hits the ground. He's like,
right,
and completely undermined.
I absolutely agree with you.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah,
totally, absolutely agree with that.
Unnecessary.
It was totally unnecessary. We had enough physical gags, and it just seemed so out of character, because we already know that up to this point he can control when he wants to become the Hulk. It's just he can flip it on now. You know, that's we got that from the Avengers movies.
Yeah.
Well, maybe something kind of broke in the
2 years.
The 2 years, you know, that control.
Since then,
extended time.
But yeah, but it ruined the whole. Like you said, it undermined the whole story, his story arc, and everything. Yeah. Because it was going to be such a sacrifice for him, and I kind of wish they would have done a little bit more leading up to that, with him struggling. You know, maybe seeing the people and all that, and then looking at the Valkyrie and having a little more dialogue even with her, because she has no idea who he is.
Yeah,
and it would have made it a whole lot more meaningful, rather than just do the plunk thing.
No, absolutely. I agree.
I have to say, because I'm such a fanboy, Stephen Strange, and just the interaction that Thor and Loki had with him was wonderful.
That was a great scene.
I loved it. I loved Loki just being completely upset because he's been falling nonstop for 30 minutes. And then how, you know, Steven takes Thor and he just keeps teleporting, boom, 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 boom. And Thor's just got to, like, set that big old mug of beer down because he can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that was great. Oh, man.
And
I love
it. Hold on, let me get my umbrella. They just hear...
Sorry about that.
crashing through.
I'm so sorry.
There were truly some great moments. And then, of course, you know, the mid-credit stinger at the end, which hints at... wow, they really went as far as, since we're in spoiler territory, wow, they really went as far as to destroy Asgard with Ragnarok. I mean, they let the prophecy happen. I was like, wow, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
For them to actually, like, really go through with this. This is the extremes they have to go through. And then they get to that mid-credits stinger where, you know, the Asgardians are going off to find a new planet to habitate, and then it's like they find this big spaceship. So are they... I don't want to get too much, because, I mean, there's been a leaked version of the Infinity War trailer that came out. It was that guys when I found it.
Oh, your voice went
out. Your mic.
Oh, did it?
Yep.
Yeah.
On? What now? Crap. Now? Really?
Okay, that's a little better.
Crap. Okay.
It's still it's better, but you're still lower than you were.
Okay, I'll speak up a little bit. Let's try it again. But yeah, I mean, that mid-credit singer, you know, as I said, I shared that really bad bootleg trailer I found of, like, the Infinity War trailer, where Thor goes from the end of this movie to the beginning of Infinity War, and I thought they were going to immediately direct up to the events that are going to lead up to that, and I guess not, unless they're going to either do that in flashback form, or they're going to start the movie out like that. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to explain that particular moment, because I don't want to spoil that, since that's a separate
but also, like, we don't know that necessarily the film starts off the way that the trailer does.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
I mean, we may start off on Earth.
Yeah.
You know,
and
we don't know.
In that leaked footage, Thor's eye is perfectly fine. So they kind of hid that to not.
What they did with the trailer.
That is another question I had. Is it just me, or did it seem like Thor had both of his eyes in the trailer?
They did. That was one of the things that they kind of, you know, to keep suspense on.
Okay.
That, and they switched the location where Hela destroyed Mjolnir, from the New York City alleyway to that beautiful, you know,
out in Norway.
Wow.
Which I think is much better for it to have a, you know, that fitting, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and because that felt more natural, because Odin's sitting there explaining to them, look, when I'm gone, she's gonna show up. And the second he's gone, she shows up like she's been waiting for this moment. She's not going to waste a second. It's like, oh, he's gone. Hey, everybody.
Yep. I'm here, bitches.
Yep.
And then just to briefly call back to what you were saying about the hidden sort of revelation when she destroys the facade of the ceiling and the paintings.
Yes.
That's something that happens a lot. They repaint over history. They lie about what happened. So that was a really nice little, if you're kind of thinking about it, you see that, yeah, there's a lot of, history is told by the people who win.
Exactly.
So that's exactly what people don't know about Hela.
And that's why Kaiser, I think maybe with the Valkyries and Thor not really knowing is because Odin may have just taught him a different history lesson,
Right.
and kind of clouded his true knowledge of the Valkyries and all of that, and so that may be why he didn't really know that they'd all been wiped out or whatever. And then going back, because I don't think this is spoilers. This is more of just me predicting, because that's what I like to do. But with Guy, we know that mid-credit stinger scene, that's Thanos' ship. Okay.
I thought so, but
if you look, there's drawings that it's kind of H-shaped in the comics, and and the stinger was kind of H-shaped, but with kind of a different technology, because it kind of looked like some of the Krill or whatever technology.
Right, it's a little bit off of the Krill's thing. If you remember in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, kind of similar style to that. And when Loki was going to get Surtur's helm or thing or whatever, remember he paused at the Tesseract.
Yes.
He grabbed it.
He grabbed it.
Of course he did.
Well, guess who wants that Tesseract?
Thanos.
Oh,
exactly. So I'm sure he probably sensed it in the vicinity, and that's where it's probably how he's going to get the Tesseract. And Loki, of course, is going to be like, well, this guy is a leader. He doesn't need a leader like Korg and all those guys, but I'm going to follow him because, that's
what Loki does.
That's what he do.
Let's take a moment to talk about Hela walking down Odin's treasure.
Oh, yes.
In that moment with fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, she pushed the gauntlet.
Simple, amazing.
Yes.
Just to call out what everyone else has been like, well, what? I thought, but how's fake?
Yep.
Yeah, it was total fake. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it was total.
Yeah.
And
totally a nice little dig there.
And someone who's rewriting history and to show his own power is like, why not have some fake artifacts of,
Absolutely.
Look, I have the Infinity Gauntlet because I'm so powerful.
Right.
Yeah. To talk about something that I thought did not work at all and was completely superfluous to the entire story is Scourge. He really added nothing to the story. It could have been anybody else. It could have been any of the Warriors 3, rest in peace, or, a no-name character. There was no real purpose to him. He didn't do what Executioner did in the comics.
Correct.
It was just kind of character and name only, which was a real disservice, I feel.
Yeah, and even though they kind of gave him a story arc, that could have been anybody. It's like they threw it away on him.
Yeah, exactly. That's not... He has no remorse. He has no qualms about killing people.
Right.
Executioner, in name, executes. Does not have any, oh, you're going to kill that girl? Yeah, sure. Bomb, dead, gone.
Right.
So it was a completely superfluous role. Could have been filled by anybody. So I really like Karl Urban. I really enjoy him.
Yeah, same here.
It was just you could have cut around every single scene and it wouldn't have mattered. And that's a shame. And that's my real only one complaint about the movie. Well, that and the way, way, way too much comedy. But, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as the Thor movie goes, it was fun. It was entertaining. It was a nice little change of pace. I'm kind of getting the feeling that they're going to do something light before leading into Infinity War, because I'm sure that's going to be it's going to be their big showstopper film. I mean, this thing's going to be a spectacle. So they probably just need one more little light moment before they really kick it off.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. So let's definitely pour out a little bit for the Warriors 3, because 20 minutes in, they were no more.
Yeah, that was so
disheartening. But it just, I mean, that whole lead up, exactly. That lead up showed just how powerful of a being she was, and how much of an obstacle she was going to be for this. And hey,
in the end, they never defeated her. I mean, they ran away. They took
no, they're like, yo, Surtur, let's make this Ragnarok happen. Yeah. Woo!
They blew up a planet to stop her.
Exactly.
Down the house.
And here's the thing. If you remember in the very beginning, Thor goes out to find him to stop Ragnarok.
Right.
Happening.
Yeah, there's the irony twist in there.
The prophecy is that Ragnarok has to happen.
Yep.
And so that's kind of a brilliant way to stop an unstoppable foe, is to allow something that, is kind of like, just that destruction to happen in order to save themselves. That, and something that, Odin says, Asgard is not a place, it's a people.
Right.
So you save the people, you save Asgard, kind of.
Now, how many Asgardians died? Because Asgard was a huge place, and while that ship was big and full, that's not like a realm's worth of people. It's like lots and lots and lots and lots of people died.
It's a neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gone from a race of people to a neighborhood. So.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
Yeah, not everybody made it out alive. I'm acceptive of that.
Right,
but
I'm saying it's a fraction of the total. And then to have Thanos' ship, assumedly show up there at the very end, and then you tie that into the Thor landing on the windshield of the Guardians, which assumes that Thanos destroys that ship.
Yeah, leading into it. So
maybe
are all Asgardians as a people dead outside of Loki, who wormed his way into Thanos' graces with the Tesseract, and Thor, who just happened to survive floating through space?
Yeah,
we won't know until May.
Let's take a moment and talk about the meta play that happened.
Yes.
Loki as Odin. That was pretty funny. And the castings were actually pretty interesting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt Damon as Loki.
Right. So
out of left field.
Yeah. Baltimore and I were talking about this, and I didn't realize it was Matt Damon. To me, I thought it was Eugene from The Walking Dead.
And I don't know if it was just really bad camera angles on Matt Damon, but he looked swole as hell. It was not
just this was all puffy, and he had the black hair, and I'm just like, dude, that's Eugene.
You're right.
Well, they all looked a little puffy. The Hemsworth.
Luke Hemsworth.
Too. The older brother of the actual Thor actor played, the faux Thor in the play, which was kind of a close. Like, he looks familiar. Why does he look familiar? He looks like Thor, but he doesn't quite look like Thor, which is great. It's really funny.
And then this great Sam Neill,
right,
as Odin.
Yeah. That was
wow.
Sam Neill and God, why can I not think of his name? Goldblum. Goldblum. My God, his name will not stay in my head. So you have Sam Neill and Goldblum together again in the
Jurassic Park actors back together.
Life found a way.
Yeah.
Life found a way.
It did.
That's true. Yeah.
So
even though they didn't share screen time,
they're still in the film.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then, a nice little Easter egg, we sort of talked about it before. When you're coming into the car and you see all the champions in the Spire, the former champions, You have Beta Ray Bill is one of the faces. You know, you have Thor. I mean, Hulk. You have Man Thing,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ares, and By Beast, which is a huge like left field kind of choice to have on there. Beast with 2 heads.
Right.
But that was kind of cool because I kept looking at it. I kept trying to figure out all of them. I was like, which one is that one? Which one is that one? Familiar, but also sort of slightly different. That you kind of had to do a couple second looks at it. But that was pretty cool to kind of think about, you know, how they all ended up there. And, you know, Marvel doesn't just put things in just to put things in. So,
Right.
you know, who knows what it could lead to, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got the Beta Ray Bill there, and Thor had the Beta Ray Bill helmet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Which may have been a holdover from his time as a champion there. You never know.
Correct. It was just laying around.
Yeah.
so I wonder which Doug Beta Ray Bill was. Another day, another Doug.
Oh, yes.
And let's talk about Korg for a second. That was actually the director doing the voice work for him,
Right.
which was a lot of fun. Great character, you know, great comic relief in a comic relief film.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you almost didn't need it, but it kind of did. You know, especially at that last moment when they're all watching Asgard and Surtur and Hela, and you know that moment passage. It's really, really good.
Yes.
But you know, I talked about this earlier. It's like I feel like the comedy was a bit too much, and I feel like instead of feeling like Thor, it feels like someone else. I don't know who's someone that's funny. Some actor. Some actor who's funny is now playing Thor.
Right.
Instead of Thor's character kind of developing into it. Because if you have Thor 1 where he's very, you know, rigid, doesn't really understand Earth customs, and yes, I get it, there's been years past, but in all of his 5 incarnations, he's never acted like this. He's never been buddy-buddy, kooky, funny, quipping with people. So that was a part that kind of made it a little bit less work for me.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, on a whole, I still really enjoyed it. And I love Valkyrie. I thought she was amazing. That she was great. I loved her story arc, and I thought Tessa did a really great job, kind of exploring that. You know, if she's lost all of her, you know, they talk about the Valkyrie as their sisterhood. Their bond is so strong, and to lose every single one of them, be the only one left, and then you know, like you talked about, Danny, maybe being completely rewritten or overwritten or lost from Asgard, why would she go back?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
That's a lot of stuff to work with as an actor, and I think she did a really great job with that. And I think, you know, we said it before, I think Hela is a villain they got right.
Yeah.
Oh my!
She was menacing. She was menacing.
Kate Blanchett
yes.
was incredible.
So
Everything.
Yeah, so here's a question. Did anyone else get sort of a Thing vibe from Korg, the soft-spoken gladiator?
Yeah.
I kind of thought he might have been voiced by Rhys Darby from Flight of the Conchords.
That's who I thought it was.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
It was
no, it was the director.
I was kind of checking, but it sounded like Rhys Darby, so I was like, oh my god, that would have been awesome, but...
So are you saying that everyone from New Zealand sounds the same?
Oh, not everyone sounds like Rhys Darby, but that he did. But they even kind of like they even referred to him like briefly as a thing at the beginning. It's like, you know, big rock creature, and it's like I just saw that and I was like, man, I really want the MCU to have a Fantastic Four film. Please, Fox, cough up those rights.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely got a vibe of that from him. So.
Another thing that I really enjoyed is, you know, the director made a lot of effort and went to a lot of effort to kind of include things from New Zealand, where he's from, and Australia. And the name of the ship that they end up flying is called the Commodore, which is the name of the automobile in New Zealand. And the colors were also, I think, specifically to the Commodore, I think that's one of the colors of a Maori tribe there. Black.
Okay.
And then I know that in some of the Junk World in Sakaar, some of the colors that you see there are the Aboriginal colors in Australia. So I really enjoyed his kind of putting it in there and making it kind of, now you see a little bit more of a diverse kind of.
And what that did also is pulling in that color.
Oh yeah,
gave it such a Jack Kirby kind of look into the
Yes.
design and it, of everything, just the way the colors laid and.
hmm
Which,
And even in the very back of the mural that's behind Grandmaster and Loki, that's Jack Kirby.
Nice.
That's his art.
Oh wow!
Wow, that's awesome. And even like the characters that were there, the weird like aliens, were very taken from Kirby work. So that was pretty cool. I like that a lot. It's a really nice nod to have someone to have that kind of artwork or that kind of reverence for the artwork.
Right.
Created it.
So we just spoke of Jack Kirby, of course, Stan Lee.
Oh, yeah.
The creepy old haircut man.
Yeah.
Not my hair.
Please, kind sir, don't cut my hair.
He didn't do a very good job. He's like the big.
I know,
like,
just gash and Z.
Yeah.
Is that a lightning
90s
bolt?
cutting.
Was that a lightning bolt they shaved in the side of his head?
I think it was. I don't know. I mean, I think it's reminiscent of it, but it's also like he's a really bad cut, so it's just like.
Right. Just yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
I love the cameos.
Yeah. This is a fantastic. This is an amazing, astonishing, worthy Thor film.
Yes.
Definitely worthy.
Well, it's a worthy Marvel film that is Thor-ish. No, I really enjoyed it. I know I'm going to see it again before it hits home. And I usually, I can't go to the movies all the time. So for me to go see a movie twice in theaters, that's a big deal for me.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
To make the time to do that. So it's a great movie. It's not without its faults. The comedy is turned up to 12. If Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was turned up to 11, this one's turned up to 12. And that does deter some of the emotional beats of the movie. Because even in Guardians, knew when to tone it down and say, hey, let's give some weight and emotion to the scene. Like when Yondu died, they stopped, they gave proper emotion to it, and I felt like, he just blew up his world, or had let his world be destroyed to save the people, and joke. And it's like, no, he just freaking sacrificed his world. Let it sink in,
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
That and then the banner thing. But other than that, it's a hell of a fun ride.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Rainbow Bridge fight scene alone is worth the price of admission.
Yeah. Very true. Oh, yeah, and Hela going hellacious on Asgard at the beginning is worth the price of admission. It's amazing. God. So, definitely worth going seeing.
Go see it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a fun film. Definitely one of the ones I'll pick up on Blu-ray when it comes out. And it is on one of the higher tier Marvel films for me as well, I think. So I'll definitely check it out again.
Absolutely.
We can't sing more than that. We have to pay royalties, so.
Exactly. We've already got enough copyright claims.
Right. So we didn't have to sit here and listen to it in our head.
That's right.
Called imagination.
Exactly.
Pure imagination.
All right. So that is the Geeks review, Thor Ragnarok. What did you think? Is it in your top 5? Your top 3? Did you think it sucked? Did you like Dark World better?
I just told you. Were you guys not listening? Why are you asking me? Oh, wait, them. Sorry. Go ahead.
Them, not them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Those people. So thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like it if you liked it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Share it with your friends. See what they think about what we think and what you think. I mean, start a conversation, man. This is social media. You gotta share it. Let's be social.
In a media form. There, I finished it for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, I was kind of just trailing off there into some
babbling. But it's good.
Babbling. I was babbling. But as always, it's all geek to us. Bye.
Until it isn't.
Bye.
All right, Sparkles.
Thanks, Sparkles.